Hello and welcome back to Innovate Direct to Film Printing. I'm your host, Madeline Thomas, Head of Content here at the World Textile Information Network. If you missed our first session of the day, it discussed market drivers, opportunity and competition in D2F printing, then don't worry, all our sessions will be available on demand via the event website. And they'll also be available for 1 month after the event finishes tomorrow, so that's until the 17th of May. This next session is brought to you by our event sponsor, Felix Schoeller. Founded in 1895, it's a family-owned company with 17 locations in 10 countries and offers proven paper solutions, including sublimation papers for fashion, sportswear and home furnishings. In addition to proven paper solutions, Felix Schoeller enhances the use of paper in new applications and replaces limited resources with paper as a renewable raw material, as we're seeing in the D2F market. So the company started with firstly a portfolio for transfer applications in 2023 with the aim of providing sustainable paper-based solutions in this market, like in its others. So in addition to film products, the company offers the new possibility of shifting to a paper-based solution, reducing plastic waste by 67%. So on that note, it gives me great pleasure to welcome Christin Nimtz, Marketing Specialist at Felix Schoeller, and Kaumkötter, Chemical Engineer at the company as well. Hello both. So before I hand over, just a quick note to our audience. Just any questions for Felix Schoeller, then please use the Q&A function that's provided and we will endeavour to get your answers questioned in the Q&A session at the end of Felix Schoeller's presentation. So thank you, and over to you, Christine and Dieter. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, hello everyone. Thanks for having us.
Hello, also from my side.
Yeah, we will start a short presentation, and as always at the end we have the time to have some questions and answers, so looking forward to a nice discussion. I will share my screen. So
Thank you.
If we're looking into the world and what is happening out there, then yeah, there's a bold statement or a bold question whether there will be more kilograms of plastic than fish in our oceans until 2050. That was a research done and statements done by the European Parliament. And of course you can claim, oh, how do they know how much plastic is in there or how many fish, but the fact is there that plastic is causing big troubles with pollutions. And as Maddie just said, we at Felix Schoeller are trying to find solutions based on renewable raw materials, and paper is one of them. So we are definitely convinced that paper can play its part in these challenges because it has, in our opinion, almost infinite potential to enable solutions that are better for our planet and for our people and the functions they are providing. So who are you seeing today? Thanks for the introduction, Maddie. So you see Dieter and myself. We at Felix Schoeller take care of our transfer media. And today we will talk about not only DTF films, which are very well known, but the new solution of DT paper as well. So as we said, we're a paper manufacturer from Germany, Felix Schoeller, and we've entered the transfer market with a clear aim of providing sustainable solutions. So therefore, we are very proud to do not offer only 2 DTF films, but a new DT paper, which was just launched at FESPA a few weeks ago. So today we will not only talk about our products, but we want to talk about the media in textile transfer in general, so films and papers. So what you should know or what you need to know if you're considering using a paper in your solution, as just Colin in the previous presentation pointed out and showed exactly on our papers. So we want to give you a dedicated introduction, what's worth knowing about this new and more sustainable solution. So first and most important, the structures of these 2 products. If you're comparing a film, a classical DTF film on the left side with a new paper-based solution on the right, you can see on the left side that of course normally it's based on a normal PET film, and then you have a special release layer it can be wax or it can be silicone, depending on what kind of hot or cold peel you want to achieve. And then of course you have a color receiver layer. And this layer actually is the one that is most important for the vibrance of colors, for the deepness of blacks, and for just the sharpness of every image. So in general, if you're looking out for a new media solution in DTF, definitely watch out for a good quality of the color receiver layer. And on the same, it's the same on normally most papers. So if you're looking to the right side, the PET base has been replaced by a raw base paper. And then, of course, you need a release layer as the same thing for the same functions. And for example, we at Felix Schoeller, we use the exactly same color receiver layer for the exact same quality results, same brightness of colors, etc. on our paper compared to our film. And then there's one big difference about the barrier layer. So we would recommend that you watch out for that if you're looking for a paper solution, because this barrier layer is needed because the paper itself, it's more open than a PET film. So you need a barrier to do not let the inks penetrate. And now it's really important, the barrier layer on the back, so layer number 5. There are a lot of papers in the market which only contain the layers 1 to 4. And no barrier layer on the back. If you're going for that version, watch out for cutting issues, because there's a high likeliness that the paper might get a curl when you want to cut it. So therefore, we, for example, added the 5th layer, the barrier layer on the back side as well, to avoid any curling problems during cutting. And as you can see here, yeah, the major difference, of course, is the base material, whether it's a PET or whether it's a renewable raw material, which is paper. And we will look into that and what these difference in structure means in your processes in a second in more detail. So if you compare both versions or both solutions, you can have a DTF film or a DTF paper. There you will find similarities and differences, and this is what we want to show to you now. So first of all, the ingredients. As I just said, the structure itself is completely different. When you go for a DTF film, you end up with a solution which is 100% plastic. If you're going for a paper solution, of course, that depends which paper you're going for on the market. But with our paper, for example, you save 60% of plastic. Why not 100%? As I just explained, you definitely need barrier layers and definitely a release layer. And this needs to be wax or silicone for you to have a good transfer result. So therefore, it's not 100% paper, but at least saving 67% of plastic, which of course is a big environmental aspect as well. The second thing, if you're talking about the final surface or the surface of the final transfer, you have both options in both ways, no matter for which solution you go. Whether you go for a film or a paper, there are products on the market where you can create a matte finish feeling of the textile as well as a glossy one. Our paper and our films right now are optimized for matte look and feel, but you could find both on the market. It does not depend whether you want to go for a film or a paper. There should not be any difference. Then the other thing is the print performance. Of course, you know and you're experienced that you need special profiles for the different films you're using in your processes and your machines and your inks and your and the print machine itself. Even if we use the same color receiver layer or paper is from the same manufacturer, we would recommend that you definitely test your profiles, because we see that even if it's the same color receiver layer on top, the different structure of the product might give you slight changes in print performance. So therefore, we would recommend that you check your profiles and maybe adapt them a little bit to have the best results. And another thing are the heat settings. So of course, in both versions, heat is definitely necessary and it needs to be adapted to your consumables. So what kind of ink are you using? What kind of hot melt are you using? What kind of temperature is needed there to make a good result? what is important to know that in general, you can use the film solution with up to 180 degrees Celsius, while papers normally use 140 degrees Celsius as a maximum heat. So that would be the maximum limit you should go for with the paper, because otherwise you might risk problems in the processes. But on the other hand, you can create the same results and maybe even save some heat and save some energy costs on that. Some further differences, of course, is the optic. Yeah, as you, if you already watched the first video where you've seen the paper in running in full speed, you know, film is 100% transparent. Of course, it has a plastic look and feel when you're touching it. The paper definitely has a higher opacity compared to a 100% transparent film. That's no question. What is important for that? Of course, you need to adapt that in your processes, because it's of course a little bit, or could be a little bit more difficult to position your the transfer on your You can position your print on your fabric, but it's not 100% opaque. So if you're trying it, you will see that it's definitely possible without any problems. What is the difference, of course, is the visual inspection. If you're used to inspect your print directly after printing through the 100% transparent film, you now would need to maybe peel it off the paper and have a look at it from that perspective, because you would see major defects, you would see no problem even through the paper. But if we're talking about little defects or very little bending or so, it's easier and better to peel it off the paper and see it not through the paper but itself. But when you touch it for the first time, you will see that a paper solution definitely has a much more natural look and feel. And the same is for the haptics. Of course, you are all used to the typical feel and stiffness of films. A paper, of course, has generally a warmer haptics and a little bit higher stiffness. When we're talking about the color fixation, as we said, both solutions always have a color receiver layer, which are optimized for the substrate and the ink they are using. So there is no difference in the logic or the process of color fixation between both solutions. And of course, the release itself, we have the release layer, and then it depends on what you want, what is optimized for your process. Do you want to go for a hot peel solution or for a cold peel solution? That highly depends on what your target process is. So you can have both films and papers optimized for hot or cold peel applications, no problem. In our case, we optimized our solutions for hot peel applications to make them useful in highest speed processes. And last but not least, electrostatic. This is an important task as well. So when we see that films can be sensitive to electrostatic discharge, and you can have your hot melt sticking to it, where you definitely do not want to see it sticking, especially if you have low temperatures and low humidity climate. This is definitely a problem less often with paper. So you definitely see these electrostatic issues less if you're using a paper-based solution. And last but not least, we have the environmental issues here. So if you're looking for certificates and you have a transfer film, normally the professional ones offer different certificates here. As far as our experience goes, the Oeko-Tex as well as the GOTS certification are highly relevant in this market and can be definitely found for transfer films. The same is valid for paper. So you can have and find the Oeko-Tex and GOTS certification for papers as well. Adding, of course, further certifications, for example, the FSC certification for paper coming from trustful resources. Of course, that could be in aspect to watch out for solutions with these certifications, because we know that there are a lot of different solutions on the market that might not meet any standards. Very interesting, CO2 emissions. If you're looking on your normal transfer film and you compare the paper against it, paper solutions, of course, it depends on how you measure the product carbon footprint, etc. But for example, our paper saves 30% of the product carbon footprint CO2 emissions compared to classical transfer films, which is really a nice thing to go for and really do something for our sustainability. And the last aspect often asked is the things of the disposal. If you want to recycle a transfer film, this is very, very difficult. So of course you can throw it away, but normally the only possibility is to heat them and burn them, because the different layers cannot be separated from each other. This is a little bit different with the paper. So it's the disposal regularities in every country vary a little bit, but in Germany, for example, you only can throw something in the paper bin for recycling if it's 95% paper. And as you just learned, our product is 67% paper, but you can still put it in this recycling way, and the different layers can be separated from each other so that you can recycle part of the paper fibers and bring them back via recycling, which is a huge benefit, especially if you're running high productions with a lot of waste material. This is the big benefit for paper-based solution in general. So if we now talked a little bit about the similarities and differences, we wanted to give you some quick tips and tricks if you're right now used to a film solution, what you could do or what you should look out if you're going or checking out a paper-based solution. So first, as I already mentioned, check the profiles. Even if you're taking a film and a paper from the same manufacturer and they are claiming that the color receiver layer is the same, as I said, the structure of both products is different. So it's really worthwhile to check your profiles a little bit and adapt them according to the different needs of the paper. Secondly, check your heat settings. Of course, we would always recommend to use the lowest possible temperatures, which still work out with your ink and your hot melt, because this will save you energy costs. And there might be a difference between a film and a paper as well. So it might be possible to go with a paper with even lower temperatures compared to a film. It might even go or work out with better results. And we already saw in our testings and experiences that with the films, comparing different films from different manufacturers, that they vary in their optimal temperature settings as well. So definitely it's worthwhile to testing the heat settings a little bit with your different media solutions. Next one is the visual inspection. I already mentioned that. So we saw it best that if you need to check for very, very small details, then it might be useful to do one test printing, peel off the ink and the hot melt from the paper to give a normal visual inspection as you would have done through the very transparent transfer film. So it's a little bit change of the process, but it can be done in the same way. Normal visual inspection, you see whether there are any defects or not, and you can continue your production. Hot peel, of course, here it's the same. So try out a little bit with the heat settings to optimize for hot peel or for cold peel, and even you could use it again. So if you produce something and you wanted to use it hot peel later, of course you can place it once again on your press, heat it up a little bit, and then you can have the same hot peel results as well. But as I said, it's worth trying the different heat settings to optimize your results in any film or paper solution. And the last thing is the cutting. So what we heard sometimes that people want to use their cutting devices with the print on the lower side of the medium, in this case in the paper. If your cutting device might face some problems in finding the cutting marks through the paper, then we saw that it's a very easy solution to simply turn it around so that the print is on top of the paper, which makes it very easy to find the cutting marks for your device. And then once again, there's no change in process, just cut it the other way around. If there might be problems facing it, but this might vary from cutting device to cutting device. Okay, a quick outlook then. So as I said, we entered the market to give sustainable solutions. We did already with the paper, but we don't want to stop here. So we will definitely use options to further reduce plastic in the product itself. We are looking into ways to using recycled fibers. So for example, a recycled paper base and then the different layers. And we're looking into options to optimize the products for recycling processes. This is what we from Felix Schoeller will do, but this is what we definitely expect from the market as well, from the paper solution that you can find on the market right now, if these are manufacturers that want to go further on as we want to do. So coming a little bit into the end of the presentation, the major question, if you're using a film and you're considering a paper, is it a change? Yes, definitely. It definitely needs some adjustments in your process, no matter what. But I hope that we could show you that the changes and the adjustments are not tremendously, so they can be done very well. And we would say, is it worth trying? And we would say absolutely yes, because we need to do something for the people, for the planet, and we saw already very good results and interest from sustainable conscious customers who are asking a lot about the processes, about the materials that are used for the final product. So we see both a big advantage for convincing new customer groups, and on the other side, playing our part for a more sustainable future. So here, once again, our contact details. So as Maddie said, the presentation will be online. If you want, just take a picture with your mobile phone. If you want to connect via LinkedIn, we would be very happy. We will share more details in the upcoming weeks whenever there are news, or you're interested in the products, or you have further questions even after the presentation. So we are very, very happy to connect. And now I would hand over to Maddie again to start and open the Q&A sessions, because we're looking forward to your questions.
Thank you, Christin. Thank you, Dita. Yes, we definitely have a very lively audience today. We've got lots of questions coming through, which is always great. So hopefully we will have time to get through them all. But firstly, on one of your last slides, and you talked about the future outlook for the company and what you're going to be working on. What kind of the timeline for that when you think about, the recycled paper and reducing plastic even further? What kind of product development timeline are you looking at? Are we talking about, a few years there, or?
It could be a few. One different. For example, for recycling paper, I believe that's the easiest point into that. Yeah. Then we must change the fibers, but use the plastic, the part of plastic. That's more difficult, and that will take 1 to 3 years, I believe.
And I think the feedback we will receive right now is very important. So we are out with a lot of testing materials with different customers, getting their feedback, how it's working, what they would like to change. This will definitely influence the process then.
And we, just while we're on the recycling, actually, we do have a question on whether you've done recycling tests to check the benefits. I'm not sure whether this person means tests on recycled paper or recycling the actual paper themselves. So maybe you could kind of answer a little bit of both.
There are different recycle tests in the market that you can see if it's possible that all compounds of your product works in the recycle process. And for example, for paper making, also the 5% are not fibers can't or do no or gets no problem in the paper making process in the future. Yeah.
Okay. And what are the costs of, I mean, isn't it everything comes down to costs in the end, doesn't it, it seems. So what are the kind of the costs when you think about paper versus film for D2F?
The cost for compare.
So you mean the pricing, right?
Yes,
If somebody
yes.
wants to buy it, yeah.
Yeah. For our product, the price for the DT paper are slightly lower than for the PET film.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we wanted to make sure that first we know it's a little change in the process. So we want to give a good introduction for the people wanting to try it. And on the other hand, we are really looking for a more sustainable solution. So we wanted to force the people in trying these things and giving us therefore the possibility to develop further.
Okay, and then that makes it even more attractive with all the sustainability benefits that you mentioned as well, doesn't it? That's interesting. Perhaps a bit more of a theoretical question now then. With you guys and other companies as well, kind of changing direct to film in the introduction of papers, where does that leave us with the terminology that we're using? You know, direct to film printing. Are you creating your own method? Like, what do we call it now? Do you see this kind of this printing technology as an evolution?
So actually, to be honest, when we entered that market, or when I entered that market and wanted to understand it, I think it's a market. I called it Wild West. Not only in the machinery, inks, hot melts that is used, but in the terminologies from DTG to DTF, meaning direct to film, direct to fabric. So we have so many different terminologies. So right now we would settle for DT paper in contrast to DTF, direct to film, DT paper, direct to paper. But I think let's see where the market will go and develop. So I think there will come so many new things and that we will see that will develop. And it's not only one person developing it, but the users all around.
So we've got D to G, D to F, and D to P. We have another a more technical question now. Is the ink receiving layer in film and paper media based on inorganic, so silica or alumina particles? And are the barrier layers in the paper-based media made from natural materials or synthetic?
The color receiver layer on the DTF film and the DTP film shows no difference.
Right.
Yeah. So there are cationic systems in principle in chemistry, and that's the same on the DTF film and on the DT paper. There's no difference here.
And so the barrier layers, is that natural materials or synthetic materials?
The barrier layer, in the moment, it's a polyolefin system.
Yeah. Okay. And with the complex layer buildup of the paper, with the polymers included, is this harder to recycle compared to 100% PET film?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? Sorry.
With the complex layer buildup of the paper, is this harder to recycle compared to 100% PET film? I guess because it's a monomaterial, the PET, right?
Yeah, it's not possible to recycle the PET film 100% because you have on the PET film a layer which wax in addition to a color receiver layer, and the actual recycle process, with a recycle process, it's not possible to split the color receiver layer and the release layer from the PET. And so you can't give this PET film in the PET recycle process.
Right. So not a monomaterial, even if it's a PET film. So it has different layers, the PET film. So you cannot recycle it. And therefore it's even better with the paper because there you can separate the layers and you can therefore recycle the paper.
I see. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. And a question now on your testing results. So if I'm sure obviously that you have tested things like wash fastness and light fastness and things like that compared to film and other products. So how does your new paper product compare to in those regards?
For washability, for example, we see no big difference here.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same.
Mm-hmm. And what about things like the brightness of the color?
Yeah, the profiling for the color are slightly different because you have difference in the surface, and yeah, some part are electricity, and the print itself are different on this.
But if you have the right profile for film and a paper, you do not see any difference.
Yeah.
So you see, we had the samples hanging at the FESPA. One was a film, one was a paper. You could not tell the difference because the base material itself does not really affect the final print. It's more the color receiver layers and the barrier layers that affect the textile print directly, and these are the same.
Okay, interesting. And what do you see as the market potential for this product and for D2F? How far do you see, or D2P, I should say, how far do you see its potential reaching?
Unlimited? Unlimited.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think just as Colin said, so a lot of people compare the market growth that we are seeing with DTF and the fuss and everything, the noise around it, to the DTG market. And so we definitely see huge potential because it's not only for the textile industry, but for industrial applications and so on. So we really see a high potential there because you definitely have lower investment costs compared to screen printing solutions, and easy applications, as Colin said, no chemicals included. So we really believe in a very high market potential for the DTF technology itself. And of course, we hope that paper one day will play an important role there as well.
Interesting. Well, I think that's a really good point to finish on. So thank you so much, Christin and Dieter, for your time and for your insights. And thank you also to our audience. If you do have any other questions for Felix Schoeller, then please do get in contact with us or with the company directly. Christin had the details up on the presentation for you. So our next session will begin shortly at 2 p.m. UTC. It will be our first panel session of the day, and we'll continue to assess the environmental impact of direct to film printing and how we can look to improve that. And we'll look at this from, we've just seen a paper, but we'll look at it from a software, hardware, ink and a film standpoint as well. So we look forward to seeing you then. See you soon.